I meant facilities, so I should have clarified that. First up on the agenda for is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none.
Wait a minute. Is this
Okay, the next item is the videotaping of school board meetings.
Okay, great.
So tonight, Joe Ferry is going to talk a little bit, and then Mr. Jeremy Friedman is also going to speak to the board on this subject.
Thank you. We have a short-term and a long-term plan to get the school board meeting recorded and up on YouTube to accomplish the goal that you have asked us to do. So starting on your March meeting, I will set up a tripod and a high-quality camera as part of the new studio up here in the back of the room that will focus on the board, and we will record the board meeting as it happens. We've tested it out. The lighting is acceptable. The sound is okay. Actually, in a way that people will get a sense of what happens. It won't pan. It won't focus in on individual speakers. It won't show the speakers who are here at the podium speaking. But again, it will accomplish the short-term goal of getting the meetings on YouTube. So what will happen as soon as the meeting's over, I'll take the SD card, I'll upload it to a YouTube channel that will be established for the district. Previously, I will have sent out a Blackboard message to let parents know that the meeting will be available on YouTube. And when the link is available, I'll send the link out through YouTube. I'll also publicize it on Twitter and post it on our district website. Hopefully people will subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then they'll get notifications whenever there's a new video posted. So that's our short-term plan. It should be workable. I don't think it'll take much effort to make that happen. And Jeremy now can tell you a little bit about what our long-term plan is that will take advantage of all the new equipment that we have with the studio.
Just one quick thing. Is this would you be recording all committee meetings as well? Or is this temporary plan just for the board meetings?
I was told it was just board meetings, but if we need to do all the meetings, I can certainly make arrangements to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. I want to give you a little bit of a plan about something scalable. So moving forward, this won't be an issue. We will be able to grow, and we will have these elements in place moving forward. So we've had several conversations, and the administration and I are putting our heads together still about certain aspects, including sound quality for Comcast. We're also looking at better lighting for the stage and the subjects for Comcast. We're also working with the technology team at the high school to run the lines that are appropriate for using the booth and the switcher in the studio downstairs, so we can have multiple camera angles and make it look like a professional shoot. We would like to eventually post these on the Comcast channel when we have enough programmable queuing available. But the long-term plan takes several elements that the administration and I would still like to chat about and present to you once we have nailed down a scalable model.
If I could just add, what we are in the midst of doing, I know Mr. Loeffler is gathering some information about cost for this to happen, and we looked at a possible timetable. So for the model that Mr. Friedman is talking about, we're setting a goal of the start of the new school year. So we think, as Mr. Ferry said, we can at least do the simplified model now, but the one that's going to be the more professional that Comcast will accept is going to take a little bit more time and some extra money. So we'll get those numbers to you as soon as we have them.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, I have some questions. So in the short, and I mean this might be for Mr. Ferry, but can we post the meetings on the district website, or you're thinking it's still going to be a YouTube channel, and you would just put a link on the district website?
Correct. We would upload the video from the camera directly to YouTube, and then that will create a link that we can put anywhere.
And then, and I guess, I mean, this is going to the long term, then what is the thought? I mean, the thought is that it would be shown on Comcast, but then would we also put those onto a YouTube channel, or would they be put onto the district website? Because some school districts just have a catalog on their, they're not on YouTube, they have the videos, I guess, embedded in their website.
Right. We would look at being able to distribute that video over as many platforms as possible. So for example, after we get Comcast on board, we'll get Verizon on board. So now we'll have two cable channels that we would be on. YouTube would be a third, and David Schlatter today mentioned a fourth one, and I don't remember the name of it, but it does give you the ability to be in as many places as possible.
But, and on the district website, it would just be links to it, or would they also be just like embedded? Could we have our own library of
We could have our own library, yes.
on the district
Yes.
website?
Embedded videos.
Okay. Yeah, I had another thought, I'm not sure, but the, I guess I would like to see, I mean, you were just, I would like to see all of the meetings filmed.
Okay.
Just the committee meetings in addition to the board meetings.
I'll make Randy a speaker.
I would too. Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with the March board meeting, and then in April, we'll start with committee meetings, if that's okay. Okay.
And Mr. Ferry, you said we would probably do a practice run on our safety meeting next week for the parents.
Correct.
You're just going to do like a dry run.
And hopefully it'll be good enough that we can again upload that to a YouTube channel and make it available to the community.
That would be great, because I think, that would be great, because I think a lot of people
Yes.
will want to see that. Yeah, and if they can't come. I think that also would be one of the goals, is to film whenever we have presentations also for parents who can't come. Like we had the one presentation about bullying, last year there was one about opioids, social media, all of those things. And we could almost create like a parent library
Right.
also.
One thing to remember, for this short-term solution, it's a one-person operation. When we go to the better solution, it's probably going to involve a half a dozen people.
Each time we film.
Each time we film. If we have 3 cameras, you have 3 camera operators. You have a person down in the studio who's running the switcher. I mean, that's a big operation.
Okay. Is the goal that it would be shown live?
There's no opportunity to show on Comcast Live. Right.
Okay.
They don't allow live programming.
They don't. I know.
Not on government public access channels.
Council Rock shows their. Is it Council Rock? They show their board meetings live.
It's probably some sort of a delay. I mean, it's not going to be exactly as it happens,
Well, you mean even if it's a 5-minute delay, or it's going to be
or a half-hour delay.
half-hour delay? And so what? Oh, I guess I thought of my other question was what's enough programmable content?
Comcast has asked us to present 24/7. We'd have to have content up for 24 hours, 7 days a week. Now, that could be the same block, same 6-hour block 4 times over a 24-hour period. So once we have board meetings that may run an hour and a half or 2, that gives us the basis of a block of content that we can build around
Okay.
and get to that 24/7 without repeating the same information 10 times in a 24-hour period.
And would the rest be student-created pieces, or it might be sporting events that were recorded?
We could go in any direction we want. One of the reasons we had to ask municipalities if they would give us the permission to run the channel for them is that we agreed to run some of their content. So they will be providing us with flyers and notices of community events that we can run on a bulletin board in between video segments. So once we're up and running with that, they'll be encouraged to give us information about that.
Thank you.
Now, I know there was discussion at one point about how Comcast used to do this as a service, that they would come out and record the meetings. Is that something they no longer do?
They don't do that. No. as you can see, to do it right, it's a pretty labor-intensive process.
Okay, and then as far as moving on with the next step, I know Dr. Radigan was saying by the fall of next year, we would be ready for that. When are you expecting to have all the information so that we can look at the different options for that next step?
Jeremy, you want to take a shot at that?
Well, there are several things to consider. The technology, we have actually scheduled a meeting with the outfit that took care of constructing the studio to give suggestions on sound and lighting quality for Comcast. Other things like making the stage look a little bit more presentable for TV have been considered. Mr. Loeffler could probably speak a little to that. And we've talked a little bit about, as our technology has grown, as our program has grown, the staffing may be needed for this new process. So again, there are several elements involved that really we've talked briefly about that we'd like to present to the board. Like I said, a scalable model that we'll be able to grow into. Joe was saying we have 3 cameras that we set up in the room, 3 cameramen, person in the booth or 2 in the booth, controlling the TriCaster and the switcher, bringing up little captions at the bottom of the screen for us is another person. So there's several people that should be involved in the new process that we have to, again, think about to make this as big as we can with as little people as possible.
Okay, I'm just thinking too, I don't know if there's any information that you'll need from us, but I mean, I don't know how, I think the idea was just to be able to convey the information to the public. I don't know that we want all the bells and whistles, you know what I mean? I don't know that we want to pay, I mean, that's just me, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't know that we want to pay all these extra people for all the bells and whistles. Whatever we can get with 1 camera may be okay, so I guess those are some things that we'll have to consider, is that I don't know how far the board's going to want to go in that direction. I mean, it sounds great, but I don't know that we want to absorb that cost for just for them to be able to get the information from the meetings.
What would be opportune for us would be to set up in the new model and see what we can present to you, the differences of what you can shoot now and what could be done using this model that we could create. We could do like a trial run and show you what the board meeting could look like versus what a single camera from the back of the room could look like. And then maybe that would give you a better grasp on whether you want to spend that or not.
Okay. Thank you.
I apologize, I walked in late, so if you answered this question, again, I apologize. Did you say students are going to be running these cameras or in the room, the sound room or whatever, or is this going to be paid employees?
Yes, so it would be, in my mind, some part of the model includes adults or paid employees. Students in the high school also are contracted to some degree to run the equipment in the auditorium, so there's a rate in place, I think.
To pay students.
To pay students.
Yeah, I think that's
So that is something that I have thought about and will probably be a part of the discussion. But adults will definitely need to be involved, one, to monitor the behavior of students, obviously, to be there with the students, but also as a facilitator, whether it be in the booth, one up here, one down there, the students will need an advisor or a person in place for that.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. So the adults, paid adults would be our staff, our teachers, or assistants, or?
And that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's going to be something that we need to create a club or a position. And these are all great questions, and I don't have all the answers. That's why the administration and I are working so closely together to try to come up with, again, something that's going to be scalable and student and sustainable.
Yeah, right, yes. Definitely, I would like to have students involved.
Absolutely. The variable here with students, they're going to look different learning levels and different knowledge bases, and with an adult or two, that would bring more learning for them, I think, as well, and also the knowledge.
Authentic learning.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda, Siler Classroom Furniture.
Okay. So is Mr. Herman here? All right, great, sorry. Okay, so we've asked Mr. Herman to come tonight because he has an exciting thing going on at Siler, at his school, with his classroom and furniture. And if you read the letter that's attached, he's done some really neat things already with this technology room and the furniture. And then he's working with a company that would like to allow him to utilize their furniture in order to test it. So he's kind of at the cutting edge here, which is really kind of neat. So I'm going to be quiet now and let you actually explain it and make a lot more sense of it tonight.
Okay. So thank you for having me here. Just to give you a very brief story. In the beginning of the year, the students designed the outline of the way we arranged our classroom. We adopted a flexible classroom environment where they technically don't have any assigned seats. We have low sitting tables where they sit on the floor. We have regular tables, regular desks. Some kids store their stuff in crates now instead of desks because they don't have them. We were able to complete a Donors Choose project, which you approved, so I appreciate that. They got some yoga mats, some stools to replace bulky chairs. And I'm actually doing this, excuse me, as a part of my action research project to complete my principal certification at Del Val. So it's kind of wrapped into my research for the year. And I was at a professional development event at this place called the Corbett Experience Center, and they sell flexible furniture. And I happened to land a conversation with the CEO, and I just kind of told him what I was doing and how we just used recycled furniture from our storage closet. We moved desks in and moved tables out. And he loved the idea, and it sparked a whole conversation, which has been going on for the last month. And they sent a rendering, they sent an associate out, so they have everything that they want to donate for a short period of time to the classroom for the kids to use, for us to use. And all they ask is that they get feedback from me and that they possibly send out one or two members from their business to collect some media of the kids using the furniture. I know that Mr. Rowe has helped me with communicating with the right people at the district level as to making sure that everything is following all the guidelines, media releases and special things would be signed for by the kids to participate in that. So the company is totally on board with sending out the furniture and running it as like a test classroom is essentially the purpose of it.
Any questions?
I will just say that this plan has the backing of Mr. Rowe, principal, and also Dr. Craig. They've both been involved with this.
And the students, backing of the students.
Yes,
He can
yes.
answer that.
Sure, they'll have the opportunity.
Sure, I guess, and my only question revolves around liability for this test furniture, should a student become injured. And is the district, does it fall on the district, or will the company indemnify us against liability should a piece of their furniture cause injury?
We can certainly work with solicitor on that.
Good
To
idea.
make sure that we're in good shape with that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. When the children who are sitting on the floor, are they sitting on a carpet, square, or something, or are they sitting directly? I know it might sound like an odd question, but.
Can you speak up, please?
I just wanted to know if the children who sit on the floor have, a carpet square, or you said something about yoga mats, is that what they're sitting on?
They do everything. Some of them sit on the tile or they'll kneel. We have carpets in the room. We have yoga mats. They just, whatever makes them comfortable and makes them motivated to work is fine by me. They stand at counters. They really work where it's best depending on the time of day and depending on who's around. They've had a lot of opportunity to learn who their friends are and who their working friends are and who aren't their working
That's a good
friends.
point.
And so a lot of times they're sitting based on where other people are sitting. And so whatever makes them comfortable.
And then when you mentioned the guidelines for having the company come in to record the students, I assume that part of that is those people would need to have their clearances, correct? To come into our building, that should be something that.
Anyone that comes into the building will go through the rapid process also.
Yeah, I have.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any questions? So is everyone okay with this, other, pending the outcome of the application?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is obsolete items for West Rock Hill. The camera and video camera going to public surplus. Bedminster, everyday math textbooks going to public surplus. Library videos going to scrap. Diagler, library reading log going to public surplus. Goof, various equipment, scrap, public surplus and recycling. Sellersville, library weeding log. High school washer, scrap. Central Middle School music textbooks going to public surplus. And the technology department, Iwatsu phone switches, public surplus. February and March technology recycling and phone public surplus. Are there any questions or comments from board members on any of these items? Everyone's fine with moving these forward? Okay, next up is a change order for number 2 Ace Electric. MDF, IDF electrical upgrades. It's a deduct $30,198.79 credit for unused balances. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Waiver of building usage fees from the East Rock Hill Township for the meeting they're actually having tonight. They needed a bigger facility, which apparently they needed even a bigger facility than what we had scheduled for them tonight, so now they moved to a different room. But they're having a public hearing, and they needed to use one of our facilities, and my understanding is that we have a relationship with East Rock Hill Township where they have waived some permit fees and things for the district to try to keep our costs down, and so they are asking that we waive the fee to use the building here. It's just a $60 fee that they're asking to have waived. Did you want to add anything, or is that?
We did.
Does anyone have any issues with doing that? Is everybody okay with waiving that fee? And the next facilities committee meeting is scheduled for April 11th, 2018. Are there any public comments? Okay.
While you're waiting for public comment, I just wanted to clarify, so which items are moving to the board meeting then? So the videotaping, there's nothing to vote on, right? The Siler classroom furniture, we're not voting on that, right? So it'll be the obsolete items will be a motion, the change order approval, and then the waiver of building use, so there'll be 3 motions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. I'm kind of disappointed to find out that it takes 5 people to video a meeting. Especially when I know that the rate that you've approved is $25 an hour for students. I think that's a little bit on the high side when we ask students to come in during the summer for $9.50. I see a huge disparity there. And these kids do have the opportunity to use this as a learning experience. So I think you need to perhaps go back and revisit. I recall that there was a certain number of hours that they were to donate to the district before they started getting paid, sort of as an internship. That's what I recall. And it was a substantial number of hours. So I believe that you need to revisit who's going to be doing this and at what pay rate. Because if you're talking about 5 people at $25 an hour to record board meetings, I think that's on the high side. The other thing is I went back and I listened to the entire presentation that was made for the TV production facility, and it was said by more than one person, but including the staff member, the journalism teacher, people on the board, people on the administration, that what we were purchasing was adequate for recording board meetings, other events. Now I'm hearing that we need to spend more money after we've already spent $200 and some thousand, about $225 if I remember the estimate. I remember what I heard today when I went back and revisited it was that we were buying the same equipment that some of the TV stations have in their trucks. It was scaled down. It didn't have every bell and whistle, but it was the same quality of cameras. We had cameras that could go outside so that the students could be independent. We were, we weren't holding back, which is fine. If you're going to do it right.
Understanding is that the administration, is going to be working on some different options and putting that together. So it hasn't been decided yet who will be paying or what will be paying or how many people or what changes will be made. But my understanding is that there's going to be multiple things presented to us so that we can figure out what works best for us, and also giving a presentation of the option that they'd like to propose. So I don't think any of that's decided, but hopefully those will all be things that will be taken into account at that meeting. So, thank you. And did you add something?
I'll add to that, Mrs. Manis. When we purchased all that equipment, it was basically we purchased it for the studio, for the students to have their classes, and for everything to happen there. What we're doing now is we're trying to move it to the level of taping the board meetings, so the extra things the board for will be like some wiring, as you heard, or lighting for in here. These are not things for the studio. These are things that we need to make these meetings happen if we're going to tape them. Am I summing that up right, Mr. Loeffler?
Yeah, correct. In here, we really don't have any data pools, so I think Mr. Green might need 6 or 7 data pools up here. Earlier, they were talking about additional lighting, but today they believe maybe our lighting's okay, or maybe lighting we want to change anyway because it's 1975 lighting up there. So be some lighting changes, some data pools, that sort of thing on my end.
Okay, thank you. And we're adjourned.
Right, we have a long agenda tonight on the finance side, so I'd like to call that meeting